Well, hello and welcome to Binge Watch, the podcast where we take a look at the hottest new TV and film releases on streaming television platforms. I'm Hannah Fernando, the editor-in-chief of Woman and Home magazine.
And I'm Ian McHugh, writer on TV and Streaming Week. Yes, TV Times and What's on TV magazines. And today we're looking at the new releases that will be available on Friday, the 8th of May 2026, including Steve Coogan in 1990s set fact-based Netflix thriller Legends about undercover agents in the UK's war on drugs from the creator of Guilt. And Greg McHugh and Gregor Fisher return in a second series of father and son comedy Only Child on BBC iPlayer.
And we'll also celebrate 100 years of David Attenborough's own life on Earth and meet a number one fan in a new 5 thriller starring Sally Lindsay and Jill Halfpenny. But first, Ian, what is in the news?
Filming is underway on a new BBC adaptation of Sue Townsend's The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, aged 13 3/4, and that will star Oliver Saville of Changing Ends fame. What else is in the news, Hannah?
Great to see that Oliver Saville, my daughter's old school friend, doing so well. It's brilliant. Changing Ends has literally changed his life, hasn't it? Absolutely incredible. And the lineup for the new series of Celebrity Traitors is in. If you haven't seen it, then prepared to be very excited because honestly, the lineup is absolutely brilliant. James Blunt, for anybody who follows him on social media, whatever your feelings may be of him, he is incredibly funny. Jerry Hall, she's going in too. Joe Lycett, Leanne Pinnock, singer Leanne Pinnock. There are some great names in here. Richard E. Grant, Rob Beckett, Ramesh Ranganathan. Imagine the two of them together. We've seen the two of them together, haven't we, before? In the Last One Laughing. Brilliant. Absolutely love it.
Well, we're going to start on Netflix with a new drama series called Legends. And here's a clip.
Your legend is the identities we use when we work undercover. Your legend has to be part of you. One wrong word, one wrong decision, and you're a goner.
The heroin crisis is a national emergency. Mrs. Thatcher needs a crisis she can solve, and here it is. You think a few customs officers can take on the biggest drug gangs in Britain? Absolutely.
So this is created by Neil Forsyth, who was behind that excellent Scottish drama Guilt, starring Mark Bonnar and Jamie Symes, and also The Gold. And it's based on a true story because in the early 1990s, Britain was experiencing a heroin epidemic, and Her Majesty's Customs was told to stem the flow of the drug into the country by infiltrating the crime gangs importing and selling it. So they put together an undercover unit for that purpose, and this is their story. So yes, it stars Steve Coogan. He plays veteran customs investigator Don, who is the first episode is very much about getting the gang together. So we see these disparate people working in sort of customs related areas. One of them is played by Tom Burke. He is a customs officer, airport customs officer guy. Then you've got a customs vice employee, Kate, played by Hayley Squires. You've got a VAT inspector, Bailey, played by Yardi's Amal Amin, and a civil service secretary called Erin, played by Jasmine Blackborough. Okay, so that's the team. 3 of them go out in the field. Erin stays behind in the sort of backroom operation. I do find it difficult to watch Steve Coogan in straight roles because, I'm just so used to him doing comedy. But, I always like Tom Burke, and he's good in this. He's very kind of brooding in this. He goes out in the field on his own, and Charlotte Ritchie from Ghosts plays his wife Sophie, who kind of she encourages him to apply because it's clear that he's just not happy and that something's missing from his life. But yeah, I mean, this undercover work, the legends of the title, your legend is your kind of false identity and your backstory. Okay, so that's why it's called Legends. And yeah, they'll be going on these missions in London and Liverpool. And yeah, as everyone's very much setting up the story, but then I think it's going to get pretty exciting because obviously they're putting themselves in very dangerous situations with very dangerous people, and if their cover is blown, yeah, it's going to be tricky. So yeah, I certainly enjoyed episode 1. Zips along at a fair old pace. What did you think, Hannah?
I've got to be honest with you, Ian. I didn't know much about this until I started watching it for binge watch, and it's quite eye-opening, isn't it? I mean, this heroin epidemic in the early 90s. I mean, I was just a small child, of course, so how would I remember? But this kind of this idea that Her Majesty's Customs were kind of instructed to stem this flow of the drug into the country and infiltrating the gangs responsible. It's unbelievable. You get a real kind of insight. It's very, it's a drama. It's very dramatic. Steve Coogan, I mean, he always plays his parts very well, doesn't he? He kind of gets into character and is so credible and does exactly that in this. So the idea of, I like anything that's based on a true story that teaches me something, and it's a really high risk operation. 6-part drama, as you say, and yeah, I've really enjoyed what I've seen so far. It's captivating almost immediately. I suppose partially because it is based on something that actually happened.
Well, you can't have missed the facts that David Attenborough has celebrated his 100th birthday this week. So there are many, many programmes about Sir David. One of them is a BBC One documentary, also available on BBC iPlayer, called Making Life on Earth, Attenborough's Greatest Adventure. And here's a clip.
I have been lucky enough to have had a long career making natural history programmes, but there was one series that changed everything. I wanted to do a series which would tell the development of the history of life.
One of the most remarkable television series ever produced.
People just had not seen anything like this.
Wow. Making Life on Earth. I mean, Attenborough's Greatest Adventure. I'm so privileged to be talking about this one really today, because David Attenborough is just such an incredible person for so many different reasons. Not only because of what he's brought to us in the terms of footage, incredible footage, but also I think it's made wildlife and interest in wildlife and more accessible to more. I think children are more interested. He made programmes that people wanted to watch, took us to places that we'd never seen before, got footage that is just absolutely still utterly incredible. And here we are, looking back on his 100 years on Earth. And this is really lovely because they've sent other people out to go and get new footage. But essentially, what he's doing here is going through a lot of what he did and being the narrator to that. So it's really fascinating. It's a one-off show to mark his 100th birthday. And him and his colleagues, they all look back on the challenges they faced and overcame, because they got access to areas that we just could only have ever dreamt of, with animals that we never thought we'd ever really understand or get to know more about. And they managed to overcome so many of those issues and kind of tell, I suppose, the entire story of evolution on our planet. And in this, they share those memories, how they made the landmark series, and it's on BBC iPlayer, as you say. And there's one episode, I mean, the gorilla, I absolutely love gorillas, and he talks in this about how they've got a bit of a bad reputation for being kind of dangerous, and actually they managed to get really close to the gorillas as a study of a group of mountain gorillas in Rwanda, and they basically acclimatized them to the presence of a human. And so the team were able to get very close to these apes, and it's just incredible. You just see a completely different side to them, because, as he says, they have been unfairly, in his opinion, portrayed as violent, and yet the result was this incredible encounter with a female and her offspring. It must have been incredibly nerve-wracking for them, and hearing them talk about through those things, because of course we see the end footage, we see the polished footage, don't we? We see the brilliance of what he does. There's going to be so much on Sir David Attenborough in the coming weeks, but this, absolutely, pop it in your diary, make sure you watch it, make sure you binge watch it, make sure you catch up on it, because it's part of history. What did you think, Ian?
This is such a good watch, and it actually starts with Attenborough. He thinks he's off camera, he's getting ready to be interviewed now. I think it was maybe last year the interview was done, but he's just so funny and charming and full of life. Anyway, it was a fascinating look back at this groundbreaking natural history series, and of course, yes, it reminds us that at one point he was the controller of BBC Two, and he was sort of being lined up to be Director General of the Beeb. But yeah, he'd spent long enough behind a desk. He wanted to get back out there and do a real landmark series about wildlife, and that's what he did. And what an undertaking it was, as you hear from various people who worked on it. I mean, it was and the anecdotes are just, absolutely fascinating. And of course, you've got the classic encounter with the mountain gorillas, which still astonishes today. And yes, I mean, they talked to some of the people working in the production office, and of course they had to organise all this. Logistically, it was so challenging because they were just relying on telephones and letters, and could be waiting weeks and weeks to hear back, and trying to sort of coordinate these crews and all this equipment, and meeting local experts, and it all happening at the right time for whatever was happening with the wildlife. So it is, the series itself is available on the iPlayer, along with lots of other Attenborough series. And yes, let's raise a glass to one of our greatest broadcasters. Over on Channel 5, we have a new drama series called Number One Fan. And here's a clip.
That's it for today, so from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Without you, there was no show.
Oh my gosh, it is you. I watch Lucy Logan live every day. I'm your number one fan.
Why don't you come to the studio, watch us record? Donna's starting to creep me out. Well, I said to her, Pop, I didn't expect every day. It has to stop. She seems to be everywhere I go.
The world is going to discover who Lucy really is. And you will not stop me.
Yes, the title reminds me of the film Misery with James Caan and Kathy Bates, where she says, I'm your number one fan. Anyway, this one stars Jill Halfpenny as a morning show presenter called Lucy Logan, who, not that unlike Lorraine Kelly, I would say. And also Sally Lindsay as Donna, who is the number one fan of the title, and the pair of them kind of meets by accident when there's an incident in a supermarket's car park. Okay. I was listening to another podcast. Yes, I do listen to other podcasts. And Richard Osman was talking about, the fact that 5, formerly Channel 5, is producing a lot of dramas at the moment, and with a lot of big names in them. Like, we talked about the one with Joanna Scanlon, didn't we? About the missing daughter on a French exchange. And they're managing to make them quite cheaply because they're getting kind of tax breaks filming abroad. So this one, even though it's set in the UK, it was actually filmed in the Basque country. And because I was aware of that, I found it difficult to concentrate because I just kept looking, especially on the exterior scenes, for, like Spanish road markings, lampposts, traffic lights, cars. But anyway, I do think these dramas, although they get some big names on board, they tend to be a bit cheap and cheerful, a little bit soapy. I do think Jill Halfpenny is great as Lucy, who is, this sort of smiling daytime TV presenter who is also kind of peddling, I think, some sort of beauty products as well. And Lindsay is great as this Donna who, declares herself as a big fan, but then things start to get a bit darker in a kind of Fatal Attraction type way. I think it'll keep you watching because it's a sort of, it's quite a dark tale where this Donna starts just doing really quite worrying things to Lucy and her family. But I didn't think the script was the greatest, but I do think the 2 stars make it worth a watch. What did you think, Hannah?
This is quite interesting, isn't it, Number One Fanny? And I've watched a short bit of this, the first episode, and it's a 4-part thriller, and I don't know whether it's a bit close to home, I suppose, with what we do. And if you're a bit in the public eye sometimes, the idea that you've got this sort of a great admirer and what that could turn to, a thing of obsession. And it's really, really pacey. It's quite gritty. It's completely different to anything I thought it would be, actually. And it takes so many different twists and turns. And I have to say, I love Sally Lindsay. I think she's really versatile as an actor, and she works really well as Donna. And she is the person who is Lucy, a TV presenter's biggest fan. And so this star invites her along to a recording. But Donna of Lucy Logan Live. But Donna, as you say, she's quite difficult to get rid of, isn't she? And it's really quite sinister. Twist and turn, completely unexpected, but I've really enjoyed what I've seen so far.
We're going to finish on BBC One and BBC iPlayer with the return of the comedy series Only Child. And here's a clip.
When things are not quite going to plan.
So what? You got sacked? This isn't how I saw my life in 40.
And your dad is living it large.
How do I get an aubergine emoji? Well, you wound me up.
I think you're weird.
It's a fair comment.
That's what I've always liked about you.
Can we stop doing that? Oh, don't be so dramatic.
Yes, so Only Child. This debuted in 2024, so a couple of years ago, starring Greg McHugh as this jobbing actor Richard, and now it's back for a second 6-part run. And Richard is back, and he's living with Ken, but he's been fired from his latest role. This is a comedy, his latest role in Norway, and he's quickly given a reminder of how eccentric his dad is when he finds him asleep in a coffin. And this. I feel like it's taken a long time to come back. It's 2 years since it was on previously, as I say, and I don't know how much I loved it the first time round. It's taken a while to get, but it has got some quick laughs in it. It's not slow. I suppose there are different layers to it. There's relationships in here. There's rubbing along, and I guess that's what's happening more and more in a situation where there's this sort of sandwich generation of caring for our elders, and actually seeing what it's really like. And the days aren't always that easy, and then kind of making you laugh through it. But it's Rich has got a sort of difficult love life himself. He doesn't want to bump into his unrequited love. He would love her to love him, Emily, who's played by Amy Lennox, and Ken doesn't want him moping around, and he suggests this trip to this local allotment. But it's the dynamic between the two of them that works so well in this. It is really fun. I don't know this is something that I would necessarily want to keep going back to, but it is good. It is good for a laugh. It will cheer you up, and there's a lot that will probably relate to a lot of people, I would say.
I do like it, I must say. And I think it's very well cast, because you can certainly believe these two as father and son. And yeah, there's a slight kind of twist on series 1, because yes, now Richard, the actor played by Greg McHugh, is yeah, he's lost his job on this sort of crime series for whatever reason, and but he doesn't want anyone to know, so he's kind of in hiding in Ken's house. So yeah, I think they've got just great comic chemistry, these two. I mean, you know, you're always going to love Gregor Fisher for Rabsy Nesbitt and the Baldy Man, if you remember that, those TV adverts. So yeah, I think anyone who's had to deal with a kind of elderly, quite eccentric parent will certainly will ring true. And yeah, both of these are actors. Great comic timing and really good combo. So yeah, I'm glad to see it back. I really enjoyed season 1, and I've enjoyed what I've seen of season 2. Well, we've got to that time, young Hannah Maladio, where we find out what the hell you've been binge watching.
Well, I have had a very busy week, so apart from what I've been binging on to talk about today, I haven't binged on an awful lot, although, don't tell my boss, but I did watch something the other day whilst I was working, of course. Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. It's on Channel 4. And oh my God, he is just, because of course he's got his new show as well, hasn't he? Documenting his new restaurant and the amount of money he's put up, which we've talked about. But the way in which he speaks to people is just absolutely unbelievable. It just never fails to make me giggle, really, the fact that everyone puts up with it.
Well, I have found an absolute hidden gem on Netflix, although it was flagged up by The Guardian. It's called This Is a Gardening Show, okay, and it's presented by Zach Galifianakis, who, of course, memorably was in the film The Hangover. So yeah, it is a gardening show, and so he's meeting various, experts, visiting different places, and but the best thing about it is he chats to these sort of primary school age kids about, plants and fruits and so on, and flowers. And these exchanges are absolutely hilarious. And he's just brilliant as a presenter. He's just so funny and so kind of slightly strange and unpredictable. So yeah, I found it an utter delight, and I just burned my way through the whole series, and they must do another one. It's just, and they're really short episodes as well. It's only 15 minutes, so yeah, highly recommended. Now we've just got time to look ahead to next week's offering. So what is on the binge watch menu, Hannah?
Oh, I can't wait for next week, Ian. Jilly Cooper's Steamy Sage Rivals returns on Disney Plus. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
And Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser reprise their roles as Beth Dutton and Rip Wheeler in the latest Yellowstone spin-off, Dutton Ranch, on Paramount+. So we look forward to those and much, much more. But in the meantime, dear listeners,
keep watching!